Hi, Jean Lurson here. Today I was sorting out my watercolor paints because I have so many and I had to go through them, find out which ones are dried up, get rid of those, figure out which ones I'm not going to ever use and donate those. And I just wanted to show you how I sort my watercolor paints because I find these 3-drawer plastic bins really useful. I buy them at the local CVS actually, and I'm going to show you how I separate them inside the drawer. So let's take a look. So here's my drawers, and inside these drawers I've got these, let me just show you, these plastic containers that I bought on Amazon, which are very sturdy, and I use them for separating out my colors. They fit beautifully into these drawers, and I separate them by yellow, red, blue, green, and any extras like maybe a black or some unusual color I will put here in the end slot. My purples go in with the blues. So this is how I sort my drawers. That's my Winsor & Newton drawer. This is my Daniel Smith drawer. Now, I actually have way more Daniel Smith colors than I do Winsor & Newton, but there's still some Winsor & Newton colors that I totally prefer to Daniel Smith, and those are basically the raw sienna, burnt sienna, burnt umber, raw umber, and a couple of other colors. I just like the colors better in Winsor & Newton than in Daniel Smith. And my turquoises are here too. This is just my drawer for odds and ends. I have some core paints, I have my gouache paints, and some spare Daniel Smith paints, and I just keep those in that drawer. In this drawer I keep my some watercolor pencils, just some of them. I have a whole set. Besides these, I keep my Jelly Roll pens that I sometimes use. I usually only use the white though. And in my bottom drawer is yet some more Winsor & Newton and Daniel Smith colors. I will never ever get to use all of these paints. I know that some of them are going to dry out, so maybe I need to think about donating some to an art center or something. This is where I keep my all my acrylic inks and acrylic paints, although I really don't use the acrylic paints much and most of them have probably dried up, but I do use a lot of acrylic inks for textures in my watercolors. And this is how I store my brushes. I've got all my round small brushes in one glass jar, and I have my script liners and riggers in another, and I keep all of my dagger or striper brushes in another one because those are also difficult to find if they're mixed in with other brushes. All my small flat brushes are there, all my rough flat brushes behind, more flat brushes. These are my finer flat brushes and my large round brushes. For me, this is the easiest way to be able to get the brush I want quickly when I'm painting. I just want to share with you something that I discovered. It's been around for a long time, but I like to use gouache, and I saw someone on YouTube, I think it was, somebody using this Dr. P.H. Martin's Bleed Proof White, and I believe this is a gouache because it does lift once it's dry, although it doesn't say on here that it's a gouache, but I believe it is. And it's very, very, very thick gouache, and I actually much prefer this to the tube gouache because I find that with the tube gouache, like for instance when I was doing this painting, which is from my abstract landscape course, I had to go over these lines several times with the tube gouache, but with this Dr. Martin's gouache, It's really a one-time use. It's very, very, very thick. In fact, if you put it on with a ruling pen or a nib pen, you literally have to add a teeny bit of water because it's so thick. Otherwise it won't. I'll just show you. It won't. Now I've added a little bit of water to this, very, very little, and look at those beautiful crisp lines, and I probably won't have to do them again once they're dry. The tube gouache tends to fade when it's dry and the background shows through, and the reason this is called bleed proof white is that the background does not bleed through once it's dry. I'm going to take some regular tube gouache and do some lines with that, and let's just see what happens when that dries. And there's a lot of things that you could use this for. I could take my hogshair brush that has a rough edge to it and get interesting results either in a landscape or for white waves if you're doing a seascape. See, that's another use for that. And if you use gouache, I find it also you tend to have to go over it. Now you can see the white gouache has already dried and it's almost disappeared, but this, which is also dry, has not. So I'm quite excited about this purchase of mine, and I'm going to be using it quite a lot in the future. Below the video you'll find a link to the Dr. Martens and to the plastic containers inside the drawers. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you next time.